Hey everyone, welcome back. This is CCP Fozzie, joined once again by CCP Rise, and this is our next match, about as good as German Ski Lesson versus Raging Homo Sapiens.
And this should be a really good one, as we were just saying on the desk. The German Ski Lesson team has brought a Paladin. First time we've seen that so far this tournament. Alongside the Paladin, we have an Armageddon and a Neros, and then some Frigs in the form of a couple Vengeances, a couple Merlins, and a Malediction. And then for the Raging Homo Sapien side, we have Astarte, Oneros, Brutix, 2 Thoraxes, 2 Celestices, and a Maulus.
A lot of damage.
A lot of damage. Actually, quite a bit of damps as well.
Yep.
But of course, that's not going to affect that Paladin really at all. So
no, well, those Merlins seem like an odd choice on an armored team, like within a Neros for German Ski Lesson, but that's going to open up all of their mid slots to have either Damps or Tracking Disruptors, both of which are actually going to be pretty powerful. Damps onto the Neros, or Tracking Disruptors onto the Astarte and Brutix. But so we'll see which one they have very soon as the match is about to begin. There it goes. The German Ski Lesson Paladin did come into 0, like we said on the beacon.
Yep.
The whole team for Raging Homo Sapiens is a ways away. They're going to have to make up some distance here to get on top of their target.
Yep, they started most of their damage at around 30k, and then the rest of their support back at 50, so it is going to take them a minute to burn.
And already the Neros for Raging Homo Sapiens is tackled. He's got a Scrambler on him, he's not going to be able to Micro Warp Drive, and he's got a Painter on him, and the Paladin is in Bastion mode, the mode that makes him tank hard, makes him immune to E-War, and gives him a lot more range and tracking.
And it looks like the Raging Homo Sapiens team is actually going to go for the Armageddon first. That, from what I can tell, they are flying. Yep, they flew straight past the Paladin. Not going to try and break that tank to begin with. Instead, going to go for that Armageddon.
Yeah, and that Neros for Raging Homo Sapiens is dropping. He is tanking a little bit. It looks like he's either got a Local Rep or some Rep Drones on him, probably Rep Drones, but it's not going to be enough. The damage from that Paladin with the tackle from the Vengeances, which are a great choice in this, I think. Those Vengeances just aren't going to die. So once they get on top of something, you're just not going to be able to separate yourself from it. It's going to go down, and once it goes down, the Brutixes and Celestices and Thoraxes are going to drop fast.
It's pretty interesting. The Raging Homo Sapiens team has actually switched to the Oneros, it looks like. The Oneros is right in there in the mix with the entire brawling setup from the blue side, so they decided to just switch to that instead of the Armageddon, thinking if they can get the logistics down, they'll have an easier time with everything else. But that Oneros tanking pretty well for now.
And they just don't have that much time. At this point, they don't have Logi, so those Thoraxes and Brutix are going to die really fast. They needed to have killed something by now. This is definitely a match where they don't have any time to waste, and at this point, I think it's already pretty much over for them unless something goes very wrong. They can kill that Oneros, but they're losing Thoraxes, and with that, they'll lose the ability to break the Paladin.
Yeah, and you can see all the pressure that this Raging Homo Sapiens team is under. They've got Tracking Disruptors on the Astarte, probably plenty of them, making it really hard for him to apply damage, and Newts as well coming from the Armageddon. So that means it's really just a Brutix and a couple Thoraxes. The Thoraxes are actually starting to take tons of damage themselves, so they'll be off the field in just a second.
And that Oneros is actually holding on fine. He's got Rep Drones coming on him, probably from the Armageddon.
Yep.
And yeah, he is in great shape, actually repping all the way back up to full. So this is going to be a very convincing victory for about as good as a
Actually, the Armageddon's kind of a baller. He dropped Augmented Berserkers.
Oh, yeah, it's very expensive.
Armor maintenance bot coming from the rest of the team. From the Paladin, probably, and yeah, I guess that's the only thing.
Yeah. And at this point, now one of the Thorax is down for Raging Homo Sapiens. One more into structure. Brutix being shot at now and tackled. That last Thorax is probably just being hit by some Frigs. The Brutix is the main primary, it looks like. They're both going to die about the same time, very likely. And with that, again, is going to go any hope of killing much of anything for Raging Homo Sapiens. This is a very strong use of a Marauder by the German Ski Lesson team. Unlike the No Boundaries team, which we saw with the Marauder earlier, instead of bringing more damage in the form of a Sleipnir alongside it, they brought control in the form of the Armageddon. So the Newts from that Armageddon meant that in the long game, which they were trying to get to, they're going to have a huge advantage over anything using Cap.
I do find it really interesting. One thing that me and Dolan were talking about is kind of how you have to split the team in two, and how you know, if you run a Marauder, the rest of your team needs to be able to take care of itself. And it looks like German Ski Lesson has really handled that really well. They've brought a lot of E-War. The Armageddon is, like you said, a really long game thing that protects the team in a lot of ways. And even against a really high damage setup like this Raging Homo Sapiens setup, they've done just fine keeping everything alive.
And the Frigs they brought, with the exception of the Merlins, which are there mostly for E-War, the Vengeances and Maledictions are notable for their tank. So they're not easy to kill. So having the rest of your team be something that can just survive a lot of a big beating, that's going to give your Paladin, your Armageddon, the time to stretch that game out.
Exactly. All right, and yeah, it's going
Yeah,
really
I
well
mean,
for them. The start
start
date
date
just goes
down.
down, so really no damage left. I mean, Celestis can do a bit, but of course not enough to break this tank at this point. This is a really, really strong match. It's kind of cool that we've seen, like you were saying, kind of in the break, that we've seen some Marauders, but not all Marauders, and now we've seen a split in their effectiveness as well, one
Yeah.
winning and one losing.
I mean,
So
that's exactly what we wanted to see. We were definitely, when creating the rules for this tournament, my biggest fear was that Marauders would start taking over. Marauders were made extremely good for the tournament format. This is the first CCP-sponsored tournament that we've run since the Marauder changes that gave them that immunity to electronic warfare, which is so huge in a tournament, as well as the extra tank from Bastion.
right.
And we were really afraid that they were just going to take over the tournament. So we gave some special rules in place with high points, and then also the if you lose a Marauder, you can't bring another one. And it looks like we may have hit at least close to a sweet spot here.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool if that was the case, and kind of wonder if we'll start seeing a tension between Dominic's bands and Marauder bands as the tournament goes on. It looks like both are definitely viable. It'd be fun to see a Marauder against the Dominic's team.
That would actually be very interesting.
Only one ship left now for Raging Homo Sapiens. Just that Maul is scooting around the field, and this
He's going
malediction
fast, but not as fast as the malediction.
Yeah, shouldn't have any trouble catching up to him.
So he'll be going down very soon, and that will be another successful pick for me. I think I'm now 4 correct and 2 incorrect. And the last 2 matches have made me feel a lot better about my picks.
And that's it for that match. So with that, we'll end this one, and we'll see you guys in a minute for the next one.